So wie die Liebe. Holy shit, was heute Morgen gewesen. Aufgewacht, meine Sachen fertig gepackt. Jetzt bin ich ready to go. Mir zum Morgen gemacht, mit meinem Roommate ein bisschen gesprochen, mit seiner Freundin ein bisschen geredet. Es war der Geburtstag von meinem Roommate, mit dem ein bisschen geredet. Bla 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 bla. Ja. Und ja, dann noch der Montserrat-Trip klar gemacht. Der ist zwischenzeitlich so, weil sie sind ein bisschen später dran gewesen und der Kollege wollte wieder mit dem Auto kommen, ist nicht gekommen und so weiter und so fort. Und ja, also long story short, der Dani richtig gestresst, also was mache ich jetzt? Und wie geht's weiter? Und zuerst soll sie das und dann soll sie das. Und ich so, hey Dani, gib mir mal das Handy. Ich habe ein Voice Memo gemacht. 1 Minute lang, jemand so, hey, schau, der Dani hat sich so gefreut auf den Tag mit dir, bla 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 bla. Und boom, 5 Minuten später ist es so, hey, Linus, perfekt, ich gehe jetzt. Ich so, ja, ich weiß nicht, ob es stattfindet oder doch oder bla 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 bla. Ja, also ich bin happy, habe ich once more Relationships ever Linus können spielen. Null. Ja, nein, es ist sweet gewesen. Ich hoffe, es funktioniert dann langfristig, das ist immer schwieriger. Aber zumindest kurzfristig, das kann können helfen, bin ich sehr, sehr froh. Ja, jetzt geht es nochmal an die Bible Study. Dann geht es nochmal in die Bib für 1-2 Stunden. Dann heim, den Koffer geholt und dann nach Lissabon. Dann wieder zurück. Und ich, ich habe so einen Arsch, Mann. Ich habe den Flug gebucht für 250 Stutz hier und zurück. Barca, Zürich, Zürich, Barca. Weil nur ein Flug hat 190 gekostet, ohne Gepäck, ohne Gepäckstück. Riesen Arsch ist auf jeden Fall. Ja. Wie sweet. Ich habe gerade noch meinem Brazilian Roommate gesagt. Seine Mama ist gerade am Suchen, bla bla bla. Und er zeigt ihr jetzt Stadt und sie ist erstmal in Barca. Und mein Zimmer ist ja komplett leer. Und ich so, yo, ich habe mein Zimmer gemietet bis Ende März. Take her in, du kannst da schlafen, sie kann da schlafen. Und so, nice, bla 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 bla. Also ja, ich freue mich auf das. Nein, what the fuck, ich freue mich auf das. Ich kann ihnen das Zimmer abboten und sie haben sich mega gefreut. Ja, das ist auch noch sweet. Und ja, besides that, heißt jetzt Abschied nehmen. Fuck, Alter, ich hab so eine geile Zeit gehabt. Der Dani hat mir vorhin noch angeboten, hey, wenn du mal deine eigene Firma machst und du auf dein Board brauchst, let me know. Und ich so, nice, Bro, Ehrenmann, Ehrenbrudi. Ja. Ja. What a time. Den der Dream hört, ist so viel passiert, so viel erlebt, so viele coole Leute kennengelernt, so viel alles einfach. Es ist einfach ein grosses, sehr schönes Wow-Erlebnis gewesen. Wirklich ein grosses, schönes Wow-Erlebnis gewesen. Und ja. Anyways, I'll continue with Judges 16:23, Samson's final victory. The Philistine rulers held a great festival, offering sacrifices and praising their lord, Dagon. They said, "Our God has given us victory over our enemy Samson." When the people saw him, they praised their God, saying, "Our God has delivered our enemy to us. The one who killed so many of us is now in our power." Half drunk by now, the people demanded, "Bring out Samson so he can amuse us." So he was brought from the prison to amuse them. And they had him stand between the pillars supporting the roof. Samson said to the young servant who was leading him by the hand, "Place my hands against the pillar." that I hold up the temple. I want to rest against them." Now the temple was completely filled with people. All the Philistine rulers were there, and there were about 3,000 men and women on the roof who were watching as Samson amused them. Then Samson prays to the Lord. "Sovereign Lord, remember me again, O God. Please strengthen me just one more time. With one blow, let me pay back the Philistines from the loss of my 2 eyes." Then Samson put his hands on the 2 central pillars that held up the temple. Pushing against them with both hands, he prayed, "Let me die with the Philistines." And the temple crashed down on the Philistine rulers and all the people. So he killed more people when he died than he had during his entire lifetime. Later, his brothers and other relatives went down to get his body. They took him back home and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol, where his father Manoah was buried. Samson had judged Israel for 20 years. Judges 19. Micah's idols. There was a man named Micah, who lived in the hill country of Ephraim. One day he said to his mother, "I heard you place a curse on the person who stole 1,100 pieces of silver from you. Well, I have the money. I was the one who took it." "The Lord bless you for admitting it," his mother replied. He returned the money to her, and she said, "Now I dedicate these silver coins to the Lord. In honor of my son, I will have an image carved and an idol cast." So when he returned the money to his mother, she took 200 silver coins and gave them to a silversmith, who made them into an image and an idol. And these were placed in Micah's house. Micah set up a shrine for the idol, and he made a sacred ephod and some household idols. Then he installed one of his sons as his personal priest. In those days, Israel had no king. All the people did whatever seemed right in their own eyes. One day, a young Levite who had been living in Bethlehem in Judah arrived in that area. He left Bethlehem and searched for another place to live. And as he traveled, he came to the hill country of Ephraim. He happened to stop at Micah's house as he was traveling through. "Where are you from?" Micah asked him. He replied, "I'm a Levite from Bethlehem in Judea. I'm looking for a place to live." "Stay here with me," Micah said, "and you can be a father and priest to me. I will give you 10 pieces of silver a year, plus a change of clothes and your food." The Levite agreed to this, and the young man became like one of Micah's sons. So Micah installed the Levite as his personal priest, and he lived in Micah's house. "I know the Lord will bless me," Micah said, because I have a Levite serving as my priest. Judges 18. Idolatry in the tribe of Dan. Now in those days, Israel had no king, and the tribe of Dan was trying to find a place where they could settle, for they had not yet moved into the land assigned to them, when the land was divided among the tribes of Israel. So the men of Dan chose from their clans 5 capable warriors from the towns of Zorah and Eshtaol to scout out a land for them to settle in. Then these warriors arrived in the hill country of Ephraim. They came to Micah's house and spent the night there. While at Micah's house, they recognized a young Levite's accent. So they went over and asked him, "Who brought you here? And what are you doing in this place? Why are you here?" He told them about his agreement with Micah, and that he has been hired as Micah's personal priest. Then they said, "Ask God whether or not our journey will be successful." "Go in peace," the priest replied, "for the Lord is watching over your journey." So the 5 men went on the town of Laish, where they noticed the people living carefree lives, like the Sidonians. They were peaceful and secure. The people were also wealthy because their land was very fertile, and they lived a great distance from Sidon, and had no alleys nearby. When the men returned to Zorah and Eshtaol, their relatives asked them, "What did you find?" The men replied, "Come on, let's attack them. We have seen the land, it is very good. What are you waiting for? Don't hesitate to go and take possession of it. When you get there, you will find the people living carefree lives. God has given us a spacious and fertile land, lacking of nothing. So 600 men of the tribe of Dan, armed with weapons of war, set out from Zorah and Eshtaol. They camped at a place west of Kiriath Jearim in Judah, which is called Mahane Dan to this day. Then they went from there into the hill country of Ephraim and came to the house of Micah. The 5 men who had scouted out the land around Laish explained to the others, "These buildings contain a sacred ephod, as well as some household idols, a carved image and a cast idol. What do you think we should do?" Then the 5 men turned off the road and went over to Micah's house, where the young Levite lived, and greeted him kindly. As the armed 600 warriors from the tribe of Dan stood at the entrance of the gate, 5 scouts entered the shrine and removed the carved image and sacred ephod, the household idols and the cast idols. Meanwhile, the priest was standing at the gate with the 600 armed warriors. When the priest saw the men carrying all the sacred objects out of Micah's shrine, he said, "What are you doing?" "Be quiet and come with us," they said. "Be a father and priest to all of us. Isn't it better to be a priest for an entire tribe and clan of Israel than for the household of just one man?" The young priest was quite happy to go with them, so he took along the sacred ephod, the household idols, and the carved image. They turned and started on their way again, placing their children, livestock, and possessions in front of them. When the people from the tribe of Dan were quite a distance from Micah's house, the people who lived near Micah came chasing after them. They were shouting as they caught up with them. The men of Dan turned around and said to Micah, "What's the matter? Why have you called these men together and chased after us like this?" "What do you mean, what's the matter?" Micah replied. "You've taken away all the gods I have made and my priests, and I have nothing left." The men of Dan said, "Watch what you say. There are some short-tempered men around here who might get angry and kill you and your family." So the men of Dan continued on their way. When Micah saw that there were too many of them for him to attack, he turned around and went home. Then, with Micah's idols and his priest, the men of Dan came to the town of Laish, whose people were peaceful and secure. They attacked with swords and burned the town to the ground. There was no one to rescue the people, for they had lived a great distance from Sidon and had no allies nearby. This happened in the valley near Beth Rehob. Then the people of the tribe of Dan rebuilt the town and lived there. They renamed the town Dan after their ancestor, Israel's son, but it had originally been called Laish. Then they set up the carved image, and they appointed Jonathan, son of Gershom, son of Moses, as their priest. This family continued as priests for the tribe of Dan until exile. So Micah's carved image was worshipped by the tribe of Dan, as long as the tabernacle of God remained at Siloth. Judges 19. Now, in those days, Israel had no king. There was a man from the tribe of Levi living in a remote area of the hill country of Ephraim. One day he brought home a woman from Bethlehem in Judah to be his concubine, but she became angry with him and returned to her father's home in Bethlehem. After about 4 months, her husband set out for Bethlehem to speak personally to her and persuade her to come back. He took with him a servant and a pair of donkeys. When he arrived at her father's house, her father saw him and welcomed him. Her father urged him to stay a while he stayed 3 days, eating, drinking, and sleeping there. On the 4th day, the man was up early, ready to leave, but the woman's father said to his son-in-law, "Have something to eat before you go." So the 2 men sat down together and had something to eat and drink. Then the woman's father said, "Please stay another night and enjoy yourself." The man got up to leave, but his father-in-law kept urging him to stay. So he finally gave in and stayed the night. In the morning of the 5th day, he was up early again, ready to leave, and again the woman's father said, "Have something to eat. Then you can leave later this afternoon." So they had another day of feasting. Later, as the man and his concubine and servant were preparing to leave, his father-in-law said, "Look, it's almost evening. Stay the night and enjoy yourself. Tomorrow you can get up early and be on your way." But this time the man was determined to leave. So he took his 2 saddled donkeys and his concubine and headed in the direction of Jebus, that is Jerusalem. It was late in the day when they neared Jebus, and the man's servant said to him, "Let's stop at this Jebusite town and spend the night there." "No," his master said, "we can't stay in this foreign town where there are no Israelites. Instead, we will go to Gibeah. Come on, let's try to get as far as Gibeah or Ramah, and we'll spend the night in one of these towns." So they went on. The sun was setting as they came to Gibeah, a town in the land of Benjamin. So they stopped there to spend the night. They rested in the town square, but no one took them in for the night. That evening an old man came home from his work in the fields. He was from the hill country of Ephraim, but he was living in Gibeah, where the people were from the tribe of Benjamin. And when he saw the travelers sitting in the town square, he asked them where they were from and what they were doing. We have been in Bethlehem in Judah," the man replied. "We are on our way to a remote area in the hill country of Ephraim, which is my home. I traveled to Bethlehem, and now I'm returning home, but no one has taken us in for the night, even though we have everything we need. We have straw and feed for our donkeys and plenty of bread and wine for ourselves." "You are welcome to stay with me," the old man said. "I'll give you anything you might need. But whatever you do, don't spend the night in the square." "Aw, so herzig." So he took them home with him and fed the donkeys. After they washed their feet, they ate and drank together. While they were enjoying themselves, a crowd of troublemakers from the town surrounded the house. They began beating at the door and shouting to the old man, "Bring out the man who is staying with you so we can have sex with him." Oh, I remember the story, shit. The old man stepped outside to talk to them. "No, my brothers, don't do such an evil thing, for this man is a guest in my house, and such a thing would be shameful. Here, take my virgin daughter," bro. He gave away his virgin daughter for a stranger, holy shit. "Here, take my virgin daughter to this man's concubine. I'll bring them out to you, and you can abuse them and do whatever you like. But don't do such a shameful thing to a man." But they wouldn't listen to him. So the Levites took out his concubine and pushed her out the door. The men of the town abused her all night, taking turns raping her until morning. Finally at dawn they let her go. At daybreak the woman returned to the house where her husband was staying. She collapsed at the door of the house and lay there until it was night. When her husband opened the door to leave, there lay his concubine with her hands on the threshold. He said, "Get up, let's go." But there was no answer. So he put her body on his donkey and took her home. When he got home, he took a knife and cut his concubine's body into 12 pieces. Then he sent one piece to each tribe throughout all the territory of Israel. Everyone who saw it said, "Such a horrible crime has not been committed in all the time since Israel left Egypt. Think about it. What are we going to do? Who's going to speak up?" Judges 20. Israel's war with Benjamin. Then all the Israelites were united as one man from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south, including those from across the Jordan in the land of Gilead. The entire community assembled in the presence of the Lord of Mizpah. The leaders of all the people and the tribes of Israel, 400,000 warriors armed with swords, took their positions in the assembly of the people of God. Word soon reached the land of Benjamin that the other tribes had gone up to Mizpah. The Israelites then asked how this terrible crime had happened. The Levite, the husband of the woman who had been murdered, said, "My concubine and I came to spend the night in Gibeah, a town that belongs to the people of Benjamin." That night, some of the leading citizens of Gibeah surrounded the house, planning to kill me, and they raped my concubine until she was dead. So I cut her body into 12 pieces and sent the pieces throughout the territory assigned to Israel. For these men have committed a terrible and shameful crime. Now then, all of you, the entire community of Israel, must decide here and now what we should do about this. And all the people rose to their feet in unison and declared, "None of us will return home. No, not even one of us. Instead, this is what we will do to Gibeah. We will draw lots to decide who will attack it. 1/10 of the men from each tribe will be chosen to supply the warriors with food, and the rest of us will take revenge on Gibeah and Benjamin for this shameful thing they have done in Israel." So all the Israelites were completely united, and they gathered together to attack the town. The Israelites sent messengers to the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What a terrible thing has been done among you. Give up those evil men, those troublemakers from Gibeah, so we can execute them and purge Israel of this evil." But the people of Benjamin would not listen. Instead, they came from their towns and gathered at Gibeah to fight the Israelites. In all, 26,000 of their warriors, armed with swords, arrived at Gibeah to join the 700 elite troops who lived there. Among Benjamin's elite troops, 700 were left-handed, and each of them could sling a rock and hit a target within a hair's breadth without missing. Israel had 400,000 experienced soldiers armed with swords, not counting Benjamin's warriors. Before the battle, the Israelites went to Bethel and asked God which tribe should go first to attack the people of Benjamin. The Lord answered, "Judah is to go first." So the Israelites left early the next morning and camped near Gibeah. Then they advanced towards Gibeah to attack the men of Benjamin. But Benjamin's warriors, who were defending the towns, came out and killed 22,000 Israelites on the battlefield that day. But the Israelites encouraged each other and took their possessions again at the same place they had fought the previous day, for they had gone up to Bethel and wept in the presence of the Lord until evening. They had asked the Lord, "Should we fight against our relatives from Benjamin again?" And the Lord had said, "Go out and fight against them." Yes, so today is the 21st of March 26, and this was my morning session. Now exam and then the list button.